Welcome dear friends and LifeVantage business partners. Magandang gabi po sa ating mga kababayan at kapwa Pilipino and sa mga future LifeVantage business partners na naririto ngayong gabi. Super excited din po ako dahil may super special guest po tayo tonight for our Philippines Comprehensive Product Training. We all know that we are opening up this market, right? So we ought to learn what we have in our hands, right? And so we are fortunate to have our very own LifeVantage Science Advisory Board joining us today. Guys, what better way to learn it from the expert herself who learned and studied the various Protandim medical peer reviews published in the medical journals. Oh my God, you think I'm crazy passionate about what we do here in LifeVantage, right? Yes, I admit I am, but wait until you hear our amazing trainer tonight. Like her, I can see the vision so bloody clear that Protandim in every household, and it's coming very near. So the question is, will you be a part of this history to come? Will you get a big piece of it or totally miss out? Because when Philippines open up, you guys, it is predicted to be one of the biggest market we have, second to the US, or if not, the biggest. That's what they said. I didn't say that. So I'm Kai Hayes out of Austin, Texas, Elite Pro 8 leader in LifeVantage, and I am one of the few elites who are leading the Philippine market. So if I've never done network marketing before, you guys, and never have plans to join this space ever until I saw the ABC investigative report in 2010, and the rest is history. So drop a number 1 on the comment section below if you are ready to take a deep dive to learn our products. So that said, I'm bringing you Dr. Nancy Bryan from Scottsdale, Arizona, a certified diabetes educator, certified geriatric pharmacist, a certified veterinary pharmacist. She is a veterinary, medicinal, and nutritional formulator and nutrigenomics educator. Dr. Nancy is also currently an integral part of the LifeVantage Science Advisory Board. She is a 2-time breast and melanoma cancer survivor and warrior. She has grown 3 children, 2 granddaughters, and a healthy grandson. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am delighted and honored to introduce to you my amazing friend whom I'm blessed to have in my life, my health mentor, my inspiration, a true servant leader, and God-centered individual. So, if you are ready to be blown away by the science behind our products, please take good notes and be ready with your questions later. Please welcome Dr. Nancy Bryan. The mic is yours, Nancy. Are you there?
I am. Can you see me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you very well. Beautiful, beautiful, Dr. Nancy Bryan. I'm so excited. Take it away.
Oh, I am so honored and blessed to be here today for all of you. I hope that we can have everyone mute. That way we don't have our screen be distracted. But first and foremost, I would like to say thank you to Kai for all the things that she does in this company. What you'll find when you get involved and see these products, they are phenomenal. But a bigger picture than that is the heart of the people in this company. This is about the community of people that truly care worldwide about what happens to people and their health, especially in the environment that we're currently in. It couldn't be more important than it is today. And so, like Kai, I became very passionate about this. I want to tell you real quick my story. I had been always very interested in sciences, became a pharmacist, and rapidly discovered when I was in that world that it wasn't exactly what I was thinking in terms of helping people. And so what I wanted to do was venture from there and became much more familiar with nutrients and those types of things. I was doing a lot of that kind of work early on, helping people to be able to have alternatives to having to be on medicine all the time, because they are needed, but it is helpful for them to actually have choices. And I wanted to see what we could do to help our bodies the best that we can. And I was always about the balanced chemistry. And so through that venture, I became known as the backward pharmacist, because in many times we could do things with foods and nutrients and water and exercise, things like that that are really helpful to our bodies. And so that was my path and where I was headed. And as I went along that venture, no one was more shocked than I was when I found out I had cancer. And a big part of that was because I had always been one of the healthiest people I knew. And yet something triggered in my genes to create this problem. And so through that, I was very fortunate to have very good doctors that took very good care of me. But when the whole process was through, my body was really worn out. And I was looking to see what I could do to help it to be on the recovery, if you will. And because I knew that when you have things like cancer and diseases, all those kinds of things, what ends up happening is it's really just our system slowing down. And that's what brought me to this company. It was through scientific studies over the last 50 years where those scientists were taking a look at what we could do to understand our process of aging, because it's that process of aging where we start to see all these things start to falter and our health decline. And it was through that process that they figured out that there was actually something called oxidative stress. And what that is when our body takes in oxygen, what happens is the little cells of our body take that oxygen and they combine it with food, and that gives our body energy, all right? But there's a small amount of waste, if you will, almost like a car burning gasoline, where that byproduct created waste in our cell. And our bodies are so beautifully designed. The cell is equipped and has a pathway called NRF2 that turns on a protein. And what that does is it takes away the trash. It takes away that oxidative stress by neutralizing it, if you will. You've got this little thing bouncing around in your cell causing all kinds of damage. And when we're young, that process works beautifully. Those scientists knew that. But what they were trying to find out is, what could we do when it starts faltering? As we head into our 20s and we see our first gray hair and our first wrinkle and some of the things that start changing, what was creating that? And so when they got down to the science of that NRF2 pathway, that's when things really got interesting. That's when they put together thousands of different combinations of things to see if they could have an effect on that process. And it was through that process that we ended up having an incredible discovery. The first discovery was that they figured out that we actually can make our own antioxidants. That was huge. For years and years, we knew about vitamin C. We knew about outside antioxidants that we all need through our food sources. And those are very important. But what we discovered was that there was also much, much more powerful antioxidants that we make inside our own bodies. And that's our superpower. I love that, because what it does when we create those antioxidants on the inside, that's what takes care of that oxidative stress. It takes the cell and keeps it balanced and keeps the trash out while the oxygen and food is coming in. Well, once they discovered that, then the question became, what can we do about it? And that's when the story of LifeVantage begins. Because what happens is, through tons of research and combinations, hundreds of combinations of things, they boiled it down to 5 key ingredients, and those key ingredients in the exact right ratios they found could actually synergize the body, and that means work together, all those 5 things together, and actually turn on that NRF2 pathway so that that NRF2 protein can do its work. That, my friends, is something that could you please mute? Thank you. And so the reason that I bring this to you is I know that can be kind of boring for people, but I want you to understand where this product and this company stemmed from and why Kai and I get so excited and why many scientists do. Because that process of being able to balance our cell, the chemistry, is what I've always been about. That's exactly what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the fact that we take in this oxygen, we take in food, we make this energy, and then we take care of the waste. All right? So with that NRF2, once we had that product underway, guess what? There were people that started hearing about it, and there were people that were skeptical. And so an ABC investigative team wanted to come and debunk the whole idea. And so what they did was they sent this investigative team to the research lab to prove that they really weren't anti-aging or really weren't what they said they were. And in the process, what was so beautiful is that their program, not something that the company paid for, but their program showed the world that what we had was real. And as a result of it, hundreds of research projects started. And one of those was by Washington State University. And the thing that really piqued my interest was when I started delving into the science after being introduced to this by a surfer, if you can believe it, not a doctor, but a surfer. So please, those of you that aren't scientists, please know you can share this. You don't have to be the doctor. I thank God every day that he shared this with me, because let me tell you, it changed everything about me. When I saw the research behind this, first I saw LSU studies that were done on melanomas, and I saw the power of what NRF2 activation could do for a body. That activation was incredible. That led me to take a look at what Washington State University stated. And basically what they came up with, their conclusion was that the NRF2 pathway was literally going to be the beginning of all the things that we needed to know. It was going to be, in their minds, what they worded as was the fact that they said, and this is, I quote what they say here because I think it's really important. The raising of NRF2 is likely to be the most important health promoting approach into the foreseeable future. Well, I will tell you, I've done a lot of research. I've been involved with a lot of different pharmaceutical industries and nutritional industries. And when I saw a university making a statement that this NRF2 pathway could be the most important health promoting, that really, really, really got me excited, because I knew that they were really onto something. And from that point in time, we now have 7 patents. That's how important this NRF2 product is. We have 7 patents. And more importantly, it has spurred so much research. And I'm so grateful for that. And the other thing that I think you'll find the most important about it is the fact that the key is that we activate the body. This is not supplementing outside supplements in massive amounts. This is tiny amounts blended together. And I like to think of it sort of like grandma's recipe for her special dish, right? All the ingredients go into the bowl and then it all gets mixed up. When it goes in the oven and it comes back out, it is something different. That is how this is with these 5 ingredients. They synergistically become something that we have now proven absorbs into the body as one entity. And by doing so, this NRF2 pathway, with all the things and all of its importance, become activated. All right? So think of something activating our own body to do the work, which is way more powerful than things on the outside. Our superpower, if you will, okay? Now, people say, well, what does that actually really mean? Yes, we have this cell and it's getting rid of its trash, but what does that mean to the average person? Well, if you take a look in our website, it'll show you the things that it does. It's going to help the body to detoxify our genes. You're going to hear the word nutrigenomics. That's what study ended up coming from us knowing that we now have the ability through nutrients to have our own genes activated again and flip the right switches. This whole thing was called really the first theory of aging, which is oxidative stress, what it does to the body, and how we now have an ability to activate that pathway again. That's why I get so excited. And you know what? When you can help the body to detoxify, that is the master blueprint for our body. Our DNA is what tells our body to do all the things it does. So it doesn't matter what part of our body is breaking down. What we're going to be taking a look at is the fact that it helps with inflammatory processes. It's the master regulator for inflammation. It's the master regulator for fibrolytic formation. What is that? That's like when you get scars, you cut your finger, you cut something, and then you get that little scar. The fibers that have to come to fix that come and repair. This is the master regulator of that, all right? And cytoprotection. That's our body's ability to keep our cell healthy so it doesn't break down into illnesses. I can't think of a better armor than those three things I've just described. That's why I got super excited, because I now had hope that maybe, instead of my cells breaking down as rapidly as they were, I now had some hope that I could activate my own system. And that truly is what happened. And here I am today being able to help share this with you. And I can't tell you how thrilled I am that I've been given that responsibility, but the ability to do it and have the joy of doing it. All right. So again, some of the things the NRF2 Synergizer, Protandim NRF2 Synergizer can do, again, it's reducing oxidative stress, that damage, 40% in 30 days. Why do I keep bringing that up? If you look at all kinds of research that's being done now, lots of other companies coming out with this product, trying to say that they do this. It doesn't matter if it's a pharmaceutical product. There are pharmaceutical products out there that are operating the NRF2 pathway. There are other companies, but none of them have been able to duplicate reduction of oxidative stress 40% on average in 30 days. No one. They get excited when they get 7% in 6 months. And I tell you, it's a game changer when it can be that quickly. That's what helps set our cells back to being healthy. For instance, let's take a cell that goes through its lifespan, and let's say that it's a cell that has a lifespan of 90 days. When it gets to the end of that 90 days, what happens is the information in that cell, that DNA, has to come out, all right? And the cell will have a new cell made to put that into. Now, if that cell is all beat up and banged up after the 90 days because oxidative stress did all of its damage and we didn't repair it, what people don't understand is that next cell that comes is a photocopy of what it just left. It's not a brand new, spanking new, nice cell. It's banged up. And now that genetic material goes into there and tries to fight its way through. And much of the DNA in that genetic material has been damaged. That is, my friends, what we call aging and illness in progress, okay? So now picture an NRF2 Synergizer coming in, helping that protein come back out again and do its job. And at the end of the 90 days, that cell is a little healthier. When that process continues to happen, you're starting to see an improvement in the cell health and balance is restored. Now, what separates our Protandim Synergizer from the others is that 40% in 30 days. It's so much faster, all right? And on top of that, don't ask me why, but it has a pulsatile action when it goes into our body. That means it does my favorite thing. It balances. It comes on and it goes off, and it comes on and it goes off. And our body regulates it. That's much different than forcing with the supplements and medications one way and causing imbalance, which creates the things like side effects. All side effects is that pushback of the body from a not balanced system. So what we're really talking about here is something that, in my mind, is one of the biggest breakthroughs in health. And you don't have to take my word for it. Washington State University just did, right? That's what they said. And many others have said that too. So just know that what the NRF2 pathway and the NRF2 Synergizer can do is the base of this company. That is what formed our thought processes on nutrigenomics and on being the theories of aging. So that NRF2 oxidative stress theory of aging was one of the ones that many scientists tried to solve. And now we have a really good answer for it. So the next thing I wanted to talk to you about a little bit was the fact that, you know what, after they got this discovery of this NRF2 pathway, they of course knew that there was another pathway called NRF1. That had to do with our mitochondrial health, all right? So when you take a look at that cell again, and it's doing its job, the mitochondria are the parts in the cell that take the oxygen and the food and give us something called energy, ATP, the energy for all our cells. It doesn't matter if it's our brain cells, our heart cells, our muscle cells, all of the things that require action, require chemical equations to happen in our body, happen because we have mitochondria giving this energy. Well, we knew in the process of oxidative stress that when trash builds up and some of these things happen, mitochondria get damaged. They get damaged from lots of things. Think about our cell phones today. Think about all the different things that are affecting our bodies. Different food sources that our bodies aren't used to, processed foods, chemicals, all kinds of things affect it. And those poor mitochondria get damaged. So the NRF1, guess what? That is the protein that goes in and helps with something called mitochondrial biogenesis. What mitochondrial biogenesis is making new mitochondria. You know, when you go to the gym and you work out to get your muscles strong, you're making more mitochondria. And so the second theory of aging had to do with mitochondrial damage. And we knew to help the body optimize, if we had NRF1 operating and NRF2, we now have the yin and the yang in the cell. We have a balance going on that works. That's what life is. So we developed a product that contains ingredients that activate the NRF1 pathway. And because of that, we now have a product that not only helps the mitochondria make new mitochondria, it also helps with repairing of the damaged mitochondria. Now, this is really important when it comes to the thing we talked about earlier, the genes, right? The genes get banged up too. And when all those things start happening, genes that don't normally express start expressing. And you know, when those scientists 50 years ago were taking a look at trying to figure out aging and what was creating illnesses and disease, one of the things that they knew was that genes could be affected so greatly, and how important it was that we find a way so that oxidative stress for the NRF2 is excellent for keeping the cell healthy, but it also helps keep the mitochondria healthy. But the NRF1 pathway also now is going to help take care of the mitochondria. So you've got the two things going on in the cell to optimize how it's going to function. Those two things are excellent at now helping all of our organs and all of our systems to do the functions they're designed to do. And that's exactly what we've seen with the second theory of aging, by having the NRF2 pathway and the NRF1 pathway working together synergistically. It really has optimized how our cell is going to function. And in the end, when you take a look at how the cell does those things, let me explain a couple of things that might make it clear to you on an everyday basis. When we're talking about mental energy, a lot of times we think we're tired, and it's not because we just ran a marathon or just did a bunch of physical activity. It's because the mitochondria aren't getting the ATP made. And so we'll get mental fogginess, we'll get energy drained, and we don't feel as peppy and as happy as we used to. Those are the things that by increasing ATP, because now we have more mitochondria, we're going to increase our ATP, we're going to have more energy in the cell. That's going to look like things like, and again, this from our website, it's saying it's going to boost the production for rejuvenation. It's going to help our body to have brain function, mitochondrial production, cognitive health, heart health. Think about how much energy your heart requires, and our brain, okay? And just our overall muscle function. And we know how key that is as we age to keep our muscles. They're an important part of our whole system. All of these things go to work to combine, and that's going to promote not only cellular health, but overall health. And so for me, I got super excited as I got interested in this company of seeing the NRF1 and the NRF2. Well, of course, our company is never satisfied with just ending things there. We're inquisitive scientists. We wanted to know more. And so what we did was we continued to look into current theories of aging. And one of the most current theories of aging that we talk about has to do with sirtuins. And all of these are a lot of big words, I get that, and they're new words, so it's kind of confusing. But what you need to know and understand is the sirtuin theory of aging has to do with cell signaling. So now we're back to the cell again. We now have the cell taking out the trash. We now have the cell operating and doing all the things it's supposed to with its mitochondria. But one of the most important things that has to happen is all of this has to signal from cell to cell. They have to communicate. From the cell becomes the organ and the tissue, and from the tissue and the organs become the system, which becomes our overall body, right? So that NAD is something that has to happen through sirtuins. This NAD has the ability to help that cell signaling. And so I prefer to look at it like if you have the NRF1 and the NRF2 operating in the cell, you got those two working. Now you've got NAD and the sirtuins actually communicating so that those two work together. And together we are all better, okay? Just know that when they are working all together in synergy, the things that we can see, it helps each one of those things individually operate better. And so why I was so thrilled when we came out with our NAD Synergizer is because up until now, one of the ways, the most important way people would have sirtuins be activated was through caloric restriction. You've probably all seen how a lot of people are big time right now into fasting and intermittent fasting. And to get the results they wanted to see to increase their sirtuins to do the things we want sirtuins to do, you have to reduce your caloric intake by 40 to 60%. Well, I don't know about you, but I like eating food. And I can tell you that that is not an easy thing to maintain. You can do it for a short period of time, but to do it on an everyday, all the time basis to get that sirtuin activity going is very difficult. And frankly, as a pharmacist and a scientist, it is not something that should go without medical supervision because it can create a lot of issues when you are doing caloric restriction because you're not getting in nutrients you should be getting. Well, what we found was we could have a combination of products that mimicked the same thing without the difficulties, without having to starve yourself, without having the risk of some of the things that can happen by doing intermittent fasting. And I'm thrilled to have as our third theory of aging, our ability to have our NAD Synergizer, which actually in a 24-hour period optimizes our sirtuins by 100%. That's better than what they get when they do optimum intermittent fasting. So you can imagine how excited I was that we were able to figure out the ability of our body to have this sirtuin activity along with our NRF1 and NRF2. And let me tell you a little bit about what the NAD Synergizer can mean to us, because these things I think are going to really ring true for you when you start looking. First and foremost, it gives you a healthy longevity. Who cares how long you live if you're sick through the whole process, right? I don't know about you, but I plan on going out kicking and screaming. I want to be as active and healthy for as long as I can. That's my goal. And having been on the other side of this for a while, I don't want to go back there, okay? I want to be where I am now, healthy and vital, okay? So healthy longevity is huge. If you look at our health span in America, around the world actually, you're seeing us, we were getting older and older, but the time frame we're healthy is shorter and shorter. So let's get those two to march together, okay? We want to be healthy. The other thing that it does something called autophagy. Remember how we talked about the NRF2 pathway, getting rid of the waste? Well, autophagy is the cell not only getting rid of the waste, but sometimes we have some cells that are, you know, they've kind of gotten to the point where they're beyond the point of return, okay? It's like there's only so many times we can keep taking the trash out and keep trying to make it look good. And autophagy is our body's ability to say finally to that cell, you know what? It's time to go. Your time is done, okay? Why that's important is we see all kinds of disease states happen. When autophagy doesn't happen, you get cells that are all banged up. They start doing things they shouldn't do. They start flipping genes they shouldn't flip. They start creating all kinds of problems. So it's really important that our body keeps in check cells when it's their time to go, they need to go. That's what the sirtuin activity can take care of. Also, by doing that, we're going to see mental focus, concentration, positive mood and motivation. Who doesn't need that right now? I don't know anybody that doesn't need that right now. I can tell you that with the state of affairs we've all had, we all need a positive uplifting, right? And I'm talking the ability to actually have a smile on your face when you get out of bed in the morning. It's awesome. And also, here's the other things. It also deals with healthy inflammatory response, and it helps to support, this is key, the inflammatory processes that deal with things like cholesterol. So this helps having a healthy cholesterol range. It keeps our healthy cholesterol where it belongs. That is really key. And in so doing, guess what? This really helps with a healthy vascular system. Not just our heart, our blood vessels everywhere. And how do we get nutrients to all the parts of our body? Our eyes, our brain, our heart, our toes, all through our vascular system. So if we're keeping our blood vessels healthy, that's going to go so far in helping us to have healthy longevity. Does that make sense? All right, so now let's add this all up. Together, we now have the three of those theories of aging all working together. And it's called the Tri-Synergizer. The NRF2 being that is our foundation of where we are. Adding in the NRF1 so that we now have mitochondrial health, and then taking in and bringing the big guns, the sirtuins, to help our bodies to optimize signaling to each other, all those important functions. And so I know that's a lot of science, but I'm hoping that this will help you to understand what we have is something unlike anybody else. The synergy between each of the ingredients in each of the products all working together, making something that I just absolutely am so excited about. And of course, you know what, we have other products. When we come up with products, the reason we do is because they're not available somewhere else. I'll give you a very specific example. Our skincare system, our True Science, when they saw what was happening with NRF2 and its abilities to take care of the cell, the research people told the company, you would be crazy not to do a skincare system. And so now we have the ability to not only take it on the inside and work cellular inside, but topically on the outside. And it does some amazing things that you cannot find in any other skin regimen. That NRF2 technology through that skin regimen is incredible. And as a result of it, we have lots and lots of things coming where we're demonstrating what that means to, again, healthy longevity of our cells on our skin, right? So those are some of the things that I wanted to bring to your attention. And to really summarize it, you have to understand there's lots of other companies out there now seeing what we have. They are trying to duplicate it. I want you to take some time and go into PubMed and take a look at NRF2. If you look, you'll see literally a chart that's a calendar that shows how far back the very initial NRF2 studies that were being done and how there was nothing being done on it. And then you follow that graph and you're going to see it go up just like this. And guess what that coincides with? When we came out with our product, the research that exploded has just literally changed where we are in science. And I'm so excited to be part of that. I've always been a pioneer in health. Sometimes I think I drove my parents crazy. Every other little kid wanted Barbie dolls and I wanted a chemistry set. You know what? These are the things that are inside us and our passion for helping. And why I'm so excited is because what we have gives the everyday person the ability to share with someone else and make a difference for them. And I can tell you that we have so many stories. There are so many, and you're going to have many of your own because you're going to see that when the body starts taking care of itself, we are our own superpower. We have incredible abilities that our own body can do. And by being able to activate those pathways, not just shove them with drugs, not just shove them with supplements, but be able to activate, it's an incredible amount of things that can happen. Now we do, just so I don't confuse people, we do still need outside antioxidants and good food sources. We still need minerals. We still need specific tiny amounts of elements and vitamins. So you know what? One of the things I do always like to tell people is please try to eat the best foods that you can every day. That includes lots of vegetables. When you see our chemistry elemental chart, guess what? There's all kinds of things on there. There's all kinds of elements. There's all kinds of chemicals that go on in our body. But guess what? There's no vitamins on there. Isn't that interesting? Now, the periodic chart is supposed to be all the things we need. Well, guess where the vitamins come? Those come from the plants taking in the minerals and making the vitamins so that we can take them in and utilize them. That's why it's so important for us to really do a good job of making sure we're eating good, clean vegetables and fruits and the things that are provided to us, because they do have things we probably don't even know about yet. All right. So their synergy is important too. And I always bring that up because I don't want people to think that what we have takes the place of everything else. It doesn't. What it's doing is optimizing our body to utilize all the things that we can put in it. Good foods, good exercise, good mental thoughts, all of those things. So Kai, I hope that that's what you were looking for. You know what, I always am hesitant sometimes with the huge responsibility of trying to bring across the science of this without getting too sciencey. But I hope that this has been something that's been very valuable to everyone and something that we can share with other people so that you don't have to be the doctor. You can share this information with the information that you'll be able to get. And that's the key to this, is being able to make a difference globally to all of our friends and family.
Thank you, Dr. Nancy Bryan. As always, you did a phenomenal job, fantastic. And wow, I'm just speechless. Aren't you guys? It's unbelievable to know that what we have, that we have these products in our hands that we truly can take advantage of. And Dr. Nancy puts it in a powerful and clear way that we humans can fully understand and appreciate what gift we have right now. That said, we at LifeVantage can't shut our mouths because the world needs to hear about this. And we ought to begin putting this in our mouths. So thank you, Dr. Bryan. But I hope that you will stick around because I've got a couple of questions here. And guys, we will entertain some questions because this is our chance now to be with Dr. Nancy. And therefore, I am going to read some of the things that are written here by Craig. I think, Craig, you said, what is the best time of the day to take the Tri-Synergizer, morning or before bed? And I ask this because I know that most healing takes place while we sleep. Is that correct?
Absolutely. I'm so proud of him to bring that up because that is a really, really, really important information. Often, many people that do know me personally know that I was very instrumental in putting together a product that was a bone product early on in the early 2000s. And you know what? That bone product, when we talked about that bone product, a big part of it was taking things at nighttime because we absolutely do heal during the nighttime. That's why deep sleep is so important. So let me tell you, the best time to take our products, this may sound counter to that, but it is in the morning. And the reason is because all of the processes that are going to happen to run your body all day long are occurring during the day. And the things that are within this are going to allow that to happen because some of that includes, remember me talking about positive mood and lifting you up? I don't want you keeping awake at nighttime. So what happens is the reason that during the nighttime many people don't sleep well is that by the time they go to sleep, their body starts poking them. It doesn't have what it needs to repair. By doing that whole process of activation early in the day, all of those processes and things that are required through those chemical equations are now up and operating, and they will be available when you're healing and sleeping. In fact, many people, when they get started on NRF2 and NRF1, will find that they sleep much deeper. And I hear that often. Oftentimes, a lot of people will say to me, well, I don't know if it's really doing anything. And the first thing I'll do is say, well, how are you sleeping? And that'll be their first aha moment because suddenly they do not connect taking something first thing in the morning with food with how well they're sleeping at night. And that's because you have to think of these pathways as a 24-hour process. All right. So I hope that helps explain why you would take those during the day. Now, having said that, I will tell you, some of us are more genetically challenged. And in my case, I actually do take a second NRF2 later in the day. So there are times and places, but for overall health, for the majority of people, that once a day is all that you need. You know what? There are some of us that have a lot bigger struggles. And so, you know what, down the road, you may find you're one of those people that you are enhanced by having that second NRF2. But for the most part, taking everything all together with food in the morning is the best option. And if that even needs to be lunchtime because you tend to skip breakfast or you don't have time, that's okay. But I really do prefer it in the morning segment of our day.
Beautiful, thank you. And then the next question is, which is more better, NRF1 or NRF2?
Oh my gosh, you know what? I tell people this is where my backward pharmacist part really comes out. Because it's all about that yin and the yang. Remember, yeah. I became the backward pharmacist because all the medicines were all pushing one way, and then our body would push back with all the other reactions. When we have our body working together in balance, NRF1 takes care of the mitochondria. So yes, that's really key. Our mitochondrial health is so important. But as we're making more and more mitochondria, they're making more and more oxidative stress. Remember? They take oxygen and food and make oxidative stress as a byproduct. So we have to have the NRF2 there to help to neutralize it. And together, they are better. So that to me is the best answer. And I often have people come to me and say, well, if they can only take one, I have to go to NRF2 as our foundational product. Because first and foremost, we have to keep up with the trash. If you do not keep up with it, the mitochondria get more damaged and we create lots more things. So if I have to pick one, it's going to be the NRF2. But having said that, together they enhance each other, and our NRF2 pathway operates much better when the mitochondria are doing their job as well.
Perfectly said. Yes, definitely. Yin and yang. Definitely. And then next question would be, hold on a second. Guys, get ready with your questions. I'm just reading here. For someone who has not taken Protandim, from Candy, would you suggest to already start with both NRF1 and NRF2 or start with just NRF2?
What I generally do when I am seeing so many different people with so many different issues, if they're generally healthy and maybe just have small things on the sides or whatever, there is no problem starting them both together. The only time that I will start with the NRF2 first and then add in the NRF1 is if they're on multiple things for different disease states. If they're on lots of medications, if they've been taking, excuse me, if they've been taking lots of nutrients. Because you know what? Here's the thing that a lot of people don't understand, and I wish I should have touched on this earlier, but how our products are made is essential. When I first saw what the NRF2 product was doing in the LSU study, the first question I had was, how do they take plant parts from all over the world and know the quality control is there so I get the same result every time? How do they make it predictable? That was my key, because that's what separated pharmaceuticals from why people stopped using nutrients in the 50s. They couldn't get plants as predictable. But today's technology, that's what we have. We go all the way to where the sources are. We go to the Himalayas. We go to the mom and pop farms where we get our raw ingredients. We test them ourselves. We don't take their certificates of authenticity. We get our own. We test them, and a lot of stuff we give back to them because we want the sweet spot of the active portion of those raw ingredients. That's what we bring back. And guess what happens? When we bring it back to the US for manufacturing, we retest it again. And when we're all done, we send it out to independent people from us to check it to make sure we did it right. And that's how we get predictability. So when we're talking about taking an NRF2 product first, it's because all the other things that they've been taking, even if it's been other nutrients, a lot of those other nutrients contain a lot of trash. So if you're taking a separate C and a separate D and all these separate things, each of them requires something to put it into a oral product. So you've got lots of other stuff there that's not active. It's inactive, but it's sometimes more than 50% of the product. And you keep adding all those in, they all get stuck in the liver. One of the biggest contributes to the NRF2 synergizer is we know through testing, we increase glutathione by 300%. What that means is it cleans the liver. The liver is going to start getting rid of little things that got stuck there from all the other stuff. So if they're on a lot of things and they haven't been feeling well, sometimes I will go slower and take NRF2 first so that it allows the body to get itself caught up a little bit and then add in the NRF1. Because then the NRF1 is going to have the chance for those mitochondria to start healing, get the mitochondria up and running. But honestly, I've had a lot of people that say, you know what, I'm on my path. I want to get it done right now. I'm done. I see the truth. This is what I'm doing. And they'll take both. And you know what ends up happening? Most people, nothing. They just go on and start feeling better and better over time. But the bottom line is they may have a day or two where they don't feel that great. And some of that is due to the fact that their liver is getting rid of a few things. So when they're not feeling that great, maybe a little bit like they have the flu or feeling a little bit something, I don't want them to equate it with our product. I want them to equate it to their body getting rid of things they don't want to keep, if that makes sense. Okay.
Wow, that's powerful. And our manufacturing excellence is truly unmatched, you guys. Thank you. And we've got here another one from Milet Ventura Perez. Would you recommend Tri-Synergizer to those having chemotherapy for cancer cases?
In all cases of medical treatment, it's really important to work with the medical team. And so I can't make the recommendation for them to be on it unless I know the specifics of that patient. I can tell you that in many cases, there have been a lot of people that have had excellent help with their bodies utilizing the NRF1, the NRF2, and the NAD. I especially do like the NRF2 because it's tiny amounts. The biggest struggle most doctors, most oncologists will have is they take lump sum information about things. And they're going to read, well, you can't take this during chemo because it's going to stop the works of the medication. Or they'll take a look at NRF2 information and say, hey, NRF2 is enhancing the cancer cells. And I will tell you, in some products, not ours, in some products, that is true. And you know what? What I loved most is we went and did the research and looked. Our NRF2 product does not activate in cancer cells. It helps healthy cells. That in itself is a huge, huge help to our body because there are lots of other things that if you give to the body, it's enhancing that cancer cell. So you have to be careful and make sure that the doctors see some of the research. And this is my passion. I actively, almost on a daily basis, am in touch with oncology teams around the country, helping them to understand this, because that's how we're going to change things globally. And so when it comes to anything to do with cancer, you have to work as a team. And I would definitely make sure that the medical team is brought into the equation and then combine them with some of our science. Let them see the science for themselves. And in many cases, somewhere in your group, you're going to have a medical person that's going to be able to help with maybe a 5-minute answering questions type of format. And then they'll have to make that decision themselves. What I do tell people in my cancer journey, the most important thing is that you are the CEO of your own body. The doctors know a lot. The healthcare people know a lot, but you have to listen to your gut. And speaking of gut, that's really an important aspect of what you're going to do. But listen to your gut and listen. And if something doesn't feel right, look for what you need to be doing, even if that means different people. All right? That's the best advice I can give through that journey.
Fantastic. Dr. Bryan, we have a couple of doctors here as well. So I'm going to call in Dr. Celine Dong from the Philippines. Doc, Mads.
Hi, Kai.
Hi, Doc. It's an honor to be for
Okay.
you to be here today. Thank you.
It's very interesting to listen to an expert like Dr. Nancy. And I was just interested, Dr. Nancy, could you just enlighten with the autophagy properties of the Tri-Synergizer? We know for a fact that autophagy is a very powerful tool of our cells to fight against virus, right? And
Absolutely.
and it can cause destruction of the virus through increasing the inflammatory response. So does the synergizer, the tri-synergizer property of Protandim really works on, do you have the papers to show that it works on the autophagy property of the cells? And
Well,
second question, you mentioned earlier about increasing the function of the mitochondria with the NRF1. Does that mean that you increase the volume of the mitochondria in the cells, or you just increase the function of the mitochondria in each of the cells?
oh, those
Thank
are
you.
absolutely excellent questions. So first and foremost, let me go back to the very beginning. When we talk about what our products do, our NAD Synergizer activates our body's ability to regulate its autophagy. So that, I think, is very important, because there are things that can artificially push our body's ability to do autophagy. And I believe that was what your question was leaning toward, is, you know, do we have to worry about that being out of control in any specific situations? And what I love about what we do is the fact that we are helping the pathways which regulate. We aren't a pro this or an anti that. We aren't specific actions. We are the regulating portion that allows the body to do things that we probably still don't even know about yet. So I hope that helps you to understand. And yes, we do have some studies in terms of NAD activity and how it has to do with the autophagy function. But I can tell you that you have to understand, in science, first and foremost, our NAD Synergizer is a fairly brand new product. We've not had it out very long. But those studies are coming. But just so you do understand the process, is that autophagy is a normal function. All we're doing is helping the body to regulate that again when it hasn't been. Does that make sense? I hope.
Yes, and I'd like to follow up the question about autophagy, especially with the situation that we're having now, the pandemic crisis that we're experiencing. And we know that autophagy is it's a very powerful tool for virus infection.
Yes.
Do you have anything to show us that the Synergizer works on the crisis that we're experiencing right now?
There actually is some in literature currently, brand new studies showing NRF2, because NRF2 also has to do with the autophagy. It's the NAD and the NRF2 working together that deal with the autophagy. And there currently are some studies that I can get to Kai that I think will help answer that question. They're very scientific, and I don't want to take up a lot of our time on this place with that deep science, but to your point, yes, exactly. And you know what? We can never say we treat, mitigate, cure, fix, prevent, or do anything. But I can tell you this, when you optimize your immune system and you have your autophagy running properly, that's going to go a long way when the virus starts affecting our body, to not let it go into the cytokine storm. That's a really key portion of what happens, is when that thing starts running loose like a cannon all over the place. And so you just need to know and understand there are studies currently out there, and I will make sure that we get those to Kai for you to take a look at. Did that help?
Wow, that's great. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you, Doc. I will have that for you, Dr. Roger.
All right. And then the secondary part had to do with the mitochondria, which is an excellent question, because we do need to know, does it plump up the mitochondria? Does it, it's just like with some of the things the guys use at the gym? Is it just adding more fluid to the muscle so it just looks thicker, or is it really doing something? And the answer is, it is adding the numbers of mitochondria, and it is enhancing the mitochondria's health to be its optimum, okay? And those things we also have some science to back as well, which we'll make sure we get to you. But that's why I got so excited. In fact, you're gonna laugh at me. When I first started taking our NRF1, we didn't have NRF1 when I first started. I took the NRF2 and it helped me so much. It made such a huge impact for me. And when the NRF1, when we saw the research come out and I saw it, I couldn't wait to get started on it. One of the very first things that happened, as you know, going through chemotherapy and 10 surgeries and all those things, my body looked kind of a mess, to be honest. It was kind of a wreck. And I'll tell you, when I started in on that NRF1, all of a sudden I'd be on Zooms or whatever talking to people, and people are like, are you really working out? What is going on with you? It literally, over a short period of time, started changing what my body looked like I had been working out. And trust me, I wasn't then. But the bottom line is, as mitochondria come back, I always was an athlete. It was bringing back what I had from the time I was young. I had built that while I was young, and that was something I had. B, it's my genes. I happen to have good genes for good muscles. But I will tell you, it was a big surprise to me to see that. And so, you know, we can see all we want in a lab, but when you start to see your muscle definition showing up again in your arms, you know what? That's a really fun thing. And and that equates to what? Healthy longevity. I'm getting myself back. Okay.
Wow. And I got two last questions, you guys. I'm so sorry, but time is up. But I just wanted to ask this question. What is the shelf life of Protandim, and what can you say about LifeVantage reps that says it's okay to take Protandim that has expired based on the date printed above because it's not a drug, it's sourced from plants?
That is an excellent, excellent question.
This is from Dr. Elsa Villagomeza. Yeah.
All right. So here's the thing. First and foremost, most things have expiration dates on them because as they're expiring, they can become something else that's not healthy.
Oh.
All right. And so that happens when we have medications. They literally can break down and become a different drug, which can be very toxic. That's why medications have to have tight expiration dates, okay? Because when they get in the liver, they might start doing something completely different. What I love about what we do, because of the way that we do our quality controls and know exactly the sweet spots of those entities that are going into our products, our expiration dates, I always say, are suggested, okay? Now, again, how you treat it is important too. I don't want you to sit it out in the sun at 120 like I have in Phoenix. I don't want that package sitting out there for a long period of time. Heat breaks things down. And in our case, it's not that it's going to be harmful. It's not going to break down into things that are toxic. But over a period of time, it does lose its potency. And so that is why we have a suggested expiration date. And if you think of it like this, when we start, we're really, the way that we do our quality controls, really closer to like 120% of each of our ingredients. We're over what we know we need to be, because we know over the time, as time goes on, it does degrade, okay? But if the day before the expiration date it's this, it doesn't mean the day after the expiration date it's completely something else, all right? So I feel very comfortable with people utilizing past the expiration date. And you know what? It's just that over time, it's just going to lose its abilities to be as, you know, as helping with 40% in 30 days on average of reducing oxidative stress. That ability is going to start diminishing over time. So I hope that helps answer the question. It's not a definitive, but it's much different than the way we view expiration dates for food or for medication.
Wow, that's good to know because I've been popping the pill even if it's expired. Nancy, I don't want to throw it away.
No, no.
So precious.
That's right. That's right.
And nothing happened. I'm still alive. Anyway, a last question would be, are you familiar with idiopathic pulmonary arterial hypertension? How does Protandim help?
Well, as with all disease states, I can't make any claims to treat, prevent, mitigate, or cure. All I can tell you is when it says idiopathic, that word means they have no idea why it's happening, okay? They can't, through their testing, figure out why. The body's flipping genes and it's creating that, all right? Now, we have a study that we didn't pay for that's in Molecular Aspects of Medicine showing NRF2 and its abilities in gene expression in arterial sclerosis, in Alzheimer's, and in colon cancer, showing the ability of NRF2 activation, not our product, the activation it's creating, helping the genes flip back. Whatever is creating that idiopathic blood issue, blood pressure, guess what? Does it have a possibility of the body knowing what created it? Was it there since birth? No. The body has the ability to fix and balance that. And so I can't say that it will do it. I can't. But I can tell you maybe many of the things triggering that to happen so that it's idiopathic, that may be some of the things that the body works on and starts optimizing for that to help with that situation. This is about getting our bodies back to being balanced and healthy. And that pertains to whatever the issue is that isn't that. All right?
Wonderful. Oh my goodness. Dr. Nancy, thank you. We had an overtime. I'm so sorry to take your so valuable time with us, but this is such an amazing, like I've told you, we're going to have an amazing training on products right now. And we have served the many tonight or today. And hope you guys are going to heed Dr. Nancy's advice and training and that put that into action. Share this with your friends, relatives, and even strangers, because we have got something that we have right now that truly separates us from all other products out there. And we are opening up the Philippines market. How blessed we are. So please drop a thank you, your thank you notes on the comment section below if you have loved this meeting and training tonight. Dr. Nancy, my friend, I love you, I love you, I love you. This is so precious, and let's continue to help and serve others and bless one another. And we love you. This is such an amazing training from the heart. Thank you so much. And we acknowledge all the doctors, and we acknowledge all of you who are here right now, coming from, of course, from the United States as well, different parts, but Philippines. Thank you so much. Even we have in Thailand, I think, and Canada. I'm seeing you guys. So thank you. That's a lot of thank you here, Dr. Nancy.